Hi, I'm Mary Leela Bay, and let's talk a little bit about how to achieve a past life regression. Well, there are many, many ways of doing so, and the best, of course, the most natural would be to simply remember those memories. All right, we don't have to go through any major procedure in order to know what we did earlier today or yesterday or at some major event in our lifetime. We simply remember. And the ideal human condition would be that we would remember everything that is in our consciousness, all the experiences we've had throughout the millenniums, throughout all of time. But we do forget, and the reason we forget, well, there are many reasons why we can forget. We forget because of trauma. We forget because it's customary. You think about for a moment children who come in and they're playing and they're just little kids and they're playing their various games and have their ideas about things. Maybe they say, "Oh, I remember being a fireman in another lifetime," or "I remember my mommy, my other parents, my other family," or "I remember being a farmer," or "I remember dying in battle." There are documented cases of children with past lives remembering that they were a pilot or many other kinds of memories. And oftentimes, if the parents are unaware or unprepared, they may just say, "Oh, that's your imagination. You're just making that up." It would be far better if we were to teach our children to honor those memories, to enhance those memories, and develop the stories and bring that in as part of their folklore. And then over time, you can investigate whether they are true or not. Over time, you could find substantiating records or other means of finding out whether those memories are accurate or true. So just remembering would be a great way to do it. Maybe you are remembering and you're just not picking up the clues or really delving into those memories. So remembering would be one way. Another way would be doing it in your dream time. Oftentimes, in dream time, we are accessing memories from our other lifetimes. So during dream time, we typically astral project. So our astral body leaves the physical body and can go out and travel in time and space. So typically that might just be traveling around the neighborhood, right? Or if there's something on your mind, maybe traveling to the office or traveling um, to somewhere to resolve some kind of issue or curiosity. Oftentimes, that's why we have deja vu. In our dream time, we've astral projected out of the body and have moved ahead in time, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe to that time that you're going to go on your vacation or some event that you're looking forward to. And you actually get in the body of you in that future moment, and you're walking through the event and checking things out. And then you come back into your body, you wake up and you forget that dream. And so you don't have that in your conscious awareness. And then as you're moving through time, you all of a sudden you're in that deja vu experience and you're looking around, "Oh, this feels familiar." And it's because you've actually astral projected into that moment and are now experiencing it. So you can experience a past life that way as well. You can astral project and go to a past life, a future life, an alternative aspect, anything like that. So sometimes we're remembering past lives by remembering our dreams. Another way to remember past lives would be cues in our environment. So maybe it's music and you're listening to an Irish melody or Hungarian or Russian or Native American drumming or something like that. And it pulls you into visions or memories or emotionally draws on you to, um, either really good or really difficult, challenging memories that elicit different emotions or memories. So we could do it through music, we can do it through art. Maybe you see a painting and it depicts a scene of some sort that really resonates with you. And if you were to just take the time to understand, maybe it isn't that exact scene, but it's drawing up a memory of a similar scene where you've had an experience that you're relating to. So take time. Also, novels or historical novels, history itself, reading history books, um, geography. We can get the clues from so many places. Maybe you're traveling. I've heard so many people say, I was traveling, I've never been to this town or city before, and yet I knew where the road was and I knew what I would see when I'd get there. And so there are, ways that these memories are coming up in rather subtle ways. But if we pay attention to them, we could really use that as part of the clues to our memories. We could do that with even smaller objects. You could say, let me think of all the times that I've had experiences with a loaf of bread, right? And so maybe you go back into memories when you were baking bread, or maybe you stole some bread, or you were taking bread home to your family and that was all you were going to eat that night, or you worked in a bakery, or imagine bread is just multicultural and throughout the ages. And so we have handled bread and eaten bread in so many cultures and so many eras that it would be, it could really open up a lot of memories for you. So those are a few. Of course, you could do it in a meditation. I've done that where I want to do the memory, the past life on my own, and so I set up an altar, lit my candles, got the stage set, and I wanted to go to memories of Atlantis, and so I began to meditate, and I just imagined how I imagined the atmosphere of Atlantis. What would the air feel like? How would it smell? What would be the energy there? How would I be feeling? And I just sat there with that focus, and pretty soon there were visions and things that I was doing, and uh, emotions that I was experiencing, and I could just kind of go through the story. Again, we have to go through it many times to make sure that we're accurate about it, but it's a place to start, and then from there we can start expanding the story and building on it and correcting it, editing what we thought might have happened, and adjusting it to resonate more with what is true. Another way would be to do it with a guided visualization. So I provide a past life visualization. When you sign up for my newsletter, you get a little mini course and a full length past life regression. And you can listen to that tape. And from time to time, I do them live, just a free little workshop that people can come, and then I get them set up and we go through it. And it's a very generic guided visualization, but it does take you into that trance state, and it keeps you moving through to stay focused on your goal of seeing a past life instead of maybe having your mind wander. So it'll guide you through it. Probably the most potent or the most expedient way would be to work with a hypnotherapist who is well trained in past life regression. And doing that, So the way that I do it, many people, other practitioners may do it differently, but the way that I do it is very client centered. So I take you into the trance state. We go in, we get deepened. There are some different tools that I use getting in there that help you to really be focused. We get an empowerment symbol, which is a gift that has certain energies, or we might do a role model where you're stepping into that version of you, that aspect of you that can easily connect with your past lives to make it easier for you to achieve this, especially if it's your first or second time. Then, as we go through it, there are devices that help you to start into the regression, which there could be many different ways. I've experienced many different ways. One of the ways that I like to use is to have the client imagine that they're going down a hall and there are lots of doors along the hall, and each door would have behind it a different lifetime or a lifetime. We don't know if they're different. Maybe it's all the same lifetime. We don't know. Maybe it's the most important one for them to experience at that time. But as they go down the hall, I count from 3 to 1, they find themselves in front of a door. We take a moment there, we kind of assess the situation. The door opens and they go through, and we start the regression. It's not the only way to get there, but in my experience, it is one of the easier ways to get there. When you're working with a therapist one-on-one, if you're having resistance or difficulty getting into the regression or seeing the images or feeling the experiences or the emotions, there are ways that we can help you. So when I was trained, they said, oh, some people can't go in trance, and you just aren't going to be able to help them. And I have found some very interesting ways where now there isn't anybody that comes to my office that can't go into trance. We go into trance all the time in our lifetimes. We drive past our exit, or we come home and we can't remember getting home. The whole way we were just kind of, our mind was somewhere else, and all of a sudden we're pulling in the driveway and thinking, I don't remember the journey to get here. Um, so we're in trance a lot of times during our days, and so everybody can experience it. So if they're experiencing a little bit of resistance in the process, then there are ways to help the client get through that. And then when we're actually working, the client and myself, we're in dialogue. So it's not me just talking to you. The client, whatever they're experiencing, they're sharing it with me. And that way I can take notes, for one thing. But the other part of that is if they get stuck, or they aren't sure where they're going, or come up against something that's frightening or something like that, there's somebody there to hold that space for them and to continue to support them moving forward. And I think that by having the dialogue, it keeps people from just maybe falling asleep or getting off track and getting bored with it or whatever. They're responding, and then I can come up also with interesting questions. So they're just experiencing it, and they don't have to also be the one to keep pushing themselves forward. So they're just experiencing, but I'm saying, hey, look around. What else do you notice? Or how does that feel for you? Or what would happen next? Or do you know that person? Have you ever met them in this lifetime? Are you a man or a woman? How old do you feel? We space those questions out. It's not like a barrage of questions, but as we're moving through it, there are ways to continue to engage the client and their subconscious mind in that process of memory. So it's very efficient, very helpful, and profound. These stories that people come up with, or the memories that they experience, are forever with them. Uh, Later, years later, they may come back and say, wow, I'm still processing that memory. It's still so valuable in what I'm doing today in my life. And so, uh, how could a person not want to have that, right? To have the full memories of all these various experiences that we've had in time and space. Anyway, I hope that's been enjoyable for you. I hope it's been informative. And I'll be back with some more information shortly. So stay tuned. Please subscribe. And thank you for being here today.